I used to be so bullish on Coinbase. Just before its IPO, I was calling for them to reach a $200 or even $300 billion valuation. This may sound crazy right now, but I'm calling for a $500 billion market cap Coinbase in 2021. So of course, when Coin hit the markets, I was quick to buy some. But 1 year later, boy was I wrong. Its performance has been the complete opposite of what I expected. The stock has fallen 69% since its all-time high, which makes it one of the worst performers in its tier of tech companies. If you were to ask me whether I'm still bullish on Coinbase, I would say no. I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. And there's really 3 reasons behind my change of heart. 3 things I missed in my original thesis. In just a minute, we'll take a look at the wild insider trading allegations against Coinbase. But first, we gotta start with my reason number 1 to dislike them. Their asset listing policy just means which coins they decide to list versus not list on their exchange. Recently, it's gotten pretty bad, and people on crypto Twitter are calling it a joke. For example, Coinbase recently posted some assets under consideration, and there were some real head scratchers on that list. Kobe pointed out 3 in particular: Pokemon, Student Coin, and Big Data Protocol. Big Data Protocol was virtually dead with a 1.5 million market cap before getting put on the list. Pokemon was famously called out on Twitter for being a rug pull, and its price is down 95% from all-time high. And Student Coin had a massive pump and dump from which it has never recovered. It's crazy that these are even being considered. They are certified shitcoins, if not outright scams. It wasn't always like this though. Coinbase started out with one of the most conservative asset listing policies out there. They initially only offered Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, plus Ethereum Classic and Bitcoin Cash later on. Getting listed on Coinbase was like a stamp of approval, and their approach was the complete opposite of Binance, which was a certified altcoin casino. Then in September 2018, everything changed. Coinbase announced that they were taking a brand new approach to listing assets. They would aim to list every asset that met their standards and was compliant with the law. They started listing coins like Stellar Lumens, Basic Attention Token, and Cardano. But those are still respectable in my eyes. CEO Brian Armstrong even mentioned that they would not list Monero because that could piss off regulators. But eventually, things started to turn, and they started listing meme coins like Doge and Shiba Inu, and some people pointed to this as the point of no return. One project they listed was called Particle, which was an absolute joke. Kobe wrote,
"Coinbase listings team must be compromised by the feds in some way. It's hard to imagine that the complete dog shit that they list on their exchange is anything other than an erosive attack to reduce quality and trust in the industry. Universal pet income? The market cap is 34 million. Jokers."
I'm with Kobe here because that project looks like complete trash, and it's crazy how Coinbase started to list worse projects than fly-by-night exchanges like Gate.io. Their listing strategy was honestly a head-scratcher for 3 key reasons. First, they list these dead projects while avoiding legit ones like Near Protocol because they're worried about listing securities. Second, they're dedicating precious resources to supporting these shitcoins instead of building what their users really want, such as integrating with layer 2 networks, which could save us a bunch of money in gas fees. And third, I think their current strategy actually puts them at higher risk of getting in trouble with the regulators. There's no way the SEC is looking at this and thinking, oh, everything is fine, investors are not getting harmed here at all. My theory is that they're optimizing for short-term revenue at all costs, instead of taking a long-term view and thinking about what really makes them successful. Just look at Facebook. The same thing happened there. They focused too much on short-term engagement numbers, and they didn't really take a step back and ask what is really best for their users. So they fed us a bunch of clickbait posts and random junk on our newsfeed instead of showing us posts from our loved ones. So people stopped using it after a while, and when Facebook realized their mistake, it was too late. My point here is that I think Coinbase is making a similar mistake in terms of short-term thinking with their listing policy. Sure, they can squeeze out more money in the short term, but what does that do to their brand in the long haul? Unfortunately, this listing strategy is just the beginning, and it gets worse. Some people discovered that these listing announcements go hand in hand with insider trading, and that's my reason number 2 to dislike them. But before we get there, a quick shout out to our video sponsors Margex. They are a crypto derivatives exchange where you can go long or short on popular coins with up to 100x leverage. This means that you can make money whether the market is going up or down. They have one of the most user-friendly interfaces out there, designed for both beginner and expert traders. They also have this unique price manipulation protection that keeps you from getting liquidated when things are volatile. And lastly, they take security super seriously. They have special processes to protect user accounts, user funds, and their own server infrastructure. Margex is secure, easy to use, and powerful. It takes less than 5 minutes to get started. Go check them out using my links below. Alright, so back to insider trading. This is not something you throw around lightly. You gotta have pretty strong proof, but boy do they have the proof. Kobe shared an Ethereum address that bought a shit ton of tokens 24 hours before they were announced on the Coinbase listing post. Then CryptoMax shared another wallet that clearly preempted the Particle and Aventus listing announcements. Both of these wallets made some massive gains, like 40% or more, in less than 24 hours just by doing this. If you look at other comments under those threads, people pointed out so many other cases where this happened under Coinbase's watch. But besides just singular examples, there's also a strong statistical case that can be made here. Wu Blockchain did a study on how Coinbase assets performed the week before their listing announcements to see if their price would move ahead of time. It's a pretty long report, so I'm not going to go through all of it here, but he discovers that new coins on Coinbase outperform Bitcoin the week before listing. And these coins also rise 24.3% on average the week before listing, whereas coins on Binance only rose 5.6% the week before their listing. So statistically speaking, something sketchy is going on here with these Coinbase listings. It is even worse than what's going on in Binance land. This is a real head scratcher for me. Like, are they not scared about getting whacked by regulators? I mean, Coinbase did already get fined by the CFTC for trading irregularities that occurred back in 2015 to 2018. The CFTC also alleged that a Coinbase employee was wash trading during that time. But you know what? Maybe they aren't scared at all, because some lawyers have said that insider trading of crypto isn't illegal because crypto doesn't fall under the purview of the SEC as of right now. Either way, I think that there's too much smoke here for it just to be a coincidence. And it's really short-sighted of Coinbase to not root this out because they are a publicly traded company after all. And you know regulators won't let this fly long term. The proof is all on chain after all. If things get legal, Coinbase is in for a world of hurt, and their stock will suffer even more than before. But let's just assume for a second that they are innocent, and this is just a giant misunderstanding. Well, I am still down on them because of my reason number 3. Their super slow pace at building and executing their roadmap. Take their NFT marketplace. That was announced back in October 12th, 2021, and it was originally scheduled to launch by end of year, but it dragged on until it finally launched on April 20th, 6 months later. Before launch, people were criticizing them all over social media, saying that it's taking forever and that they could whip up an NFT marketplace in just a few weeks. Meanwhile, both FTX and Binance launched their NFT products super fast and early. But what can explain this though? I mean, Coinbase does have massive resources after all, so why are they so slow and unable to compete? Well, for one, I think their massive size holds them back. Coinbase is a lumbering giant, while FTX is nimble and fast. Just look at this chart. It shows the trading volume of each exchange divided by the number of employees that they have. So each Coinbase employee accounts for roughly 20 million in volume, whereas each FTX employee accounts for around 3 billion. That's over 100x difference, and it just shows how incredibly lean and leveraged FTX is compared to Coinbase. If you study how companies operate in general, this will all start to make more sense. It is nature after all, and there's 2 of these natural traps that Coinbase falls victim to. The first is the mythical man month. This is a false idea that you can build something faster by just adding more engineers to the project. Because with more people, you have more meetings, more stakeholders, and it just gets harder to coordinate. So Coinbase's bigger teams could actually slow down a project quite a bit instead of speed it up. Another issue that Coinbase faces is called the innovator's dilemma. This is the concept that big companies find it hard to innovate because cutting-edge innovations can't necessarily get them a return on investment in the short term. So it's mostly smaller companies that take the risk and experiment and thus can innovate way more quickly than the big giants. This definitely seems to be the case with Coinbase, since they're constantly playing catch up with things like their NFT marketplace and other products. My whole point here is that Coinbase is fighting an uphill battle against nature, and they haven't shown any particular ability to resist these natural forces. So for all these reasons, I am out. I predict Coinbase and their stock will continue to underperform in the next few years. What about you? Do you agree with my analysis? And speaking of NFT marketplaces, I think that OpenSea is doomed as well. Watch this video if you want to find out why. See ya!